pricing validation works in the following way. And if you have a B2C context, it can be a little bit different, but hear me out. So generally what you want to do is you want to create new pricing. And if you don't have a product yet, you just create the pricing, the first one that you go into. And then you say, okay, so before I start to sell it in the market, I want to know if it works, right? So you have this, and this is what I call the validation phase. So the validation phase isn't the sales test when you actually try to sell it to someone. It's the step before where you just say, well, okay, does this have legs? Can people understand it and so forth? There are two kinds. You can do it, if you have a big organization, you need to do internal validation as well, which means that you need to go to everyone in your organization to see if you get it, right? Because the CEO can come up with pricing on his vacation, but if it can't be deployed in product, and if the CFO can't build it and so forth, then it's an issue, right? But so I think you're all small enough for that not to be a problem. So let's focus on the customer side. Here's how you do it. You create a PowerPoint, which I call a product in PowerPoint. And then on slide 1, you write your company name. And then on slide 2, you write the job to be done that you solve for customers. So we say, we help small producers get more sale by showing their sustainability efforts. Let's say that's for you, Phil, right? Or we help seniors get more enjoyable and fun free time. Whatever is sort of how you want to nail it. But this is sort of the one tagline that sort of brings customers through the door. And if your customers don't connect with this, then you don't need to show them the rest of the presentation, right? So this is that simple. If the customer is like, okay, why? Then, okay, you need to sort of go back and find a source of demand, right? So if you say, we help elderly people get pain-free in their own homes. Oh, great, okay, I'm now listening, I want to hear more about that. How do you do that? What's the thing, right? The next slide then is your packaging. So you're saying, oh, we have a platform, and then we have this module, and we have this service, and then this onboarding, whatever it is. Or we can do sort of the 12 treatment packages, or we can do ongoing subscriptions, or we can do single ones, like whatever you have. So just show them what is for sale. As simple as that. You don't show them the price, but you show them what is for sale. And then you ask them 2 questions. Is it clear? Like, do you understand what I'm trying to show you? And 2, do you want it? Or do you want any of this? And it needs to be those 2 things. Like the customer needs to clearly understand what you're trying to sell them or show them. So, because if they don't, it's like, what the hell is this? And what are these features? And what are you trying to do here? Like, then they're never going to buy it anyways, right? So it needs to be clear. And then they need to be, oh, and the second package, that's probably for me. Or I would probably start there, or whatever it is that they say. But they need to connect with at least one of the packages, as in that solves whatever job I showed you first. So they take the job and they say, okay, in order to solve that, I would go for this particular version of your delivery. Great. And then you move to the pricing model. So you don't show them how you price, but you say something like 12-session program is a fixed fee for 12 sessions, and then it can be used over a year, and it's priced per month. But you don't say 6,000 kroner or whatever we came up with the price, right? So you just leave the price point out. But you show them the model, you show them how it's paid, you show them it's a price per, whatever it is, it's a price per language, it's a price per flashcard, it's a price per student, whatever it was, or it's a price per event with all the sort of the extras like dinner and the trip and so forth. Or it's a price per, for the platform, we have a flat fee, and for the interactions, we then have a volume-based fees in tranches. Whatever it is that you charge for. We price per a percentage of the revenue of the platform. But you don't show them the numbers, you show them how. And then you ask, does this make sense to you? Does this seem fair? Fair is sort of the trigger word here. And then the customer will say something like, oh, but then I have no idea how much I'm going to pay. So, okay, that isn't a function of how expensive it is, that's a function of the model itself, right? If they don't know how much they're going to pay, because they say, well, if it's $1 or if it's 10, I still don't know how many I have. And that's the problem. So, or they're going to say, that seems perfectly fair, but you know, that budget is really tight right now because we would charge it on the HR thing. And so they tell you where they're going to charge it, and maybe they have certain constraints there. Or they tell you something else. But just their reaction to how you will price will give you a lot of insight of whether they actually are able to or will want to pay for this, right? Okay. And then finally, you show them the actual price points. You say, it is going to be 3,000 for the 6-time event, or 6,000 for the 12-time event, or whatever it is, or it's going to be 49 euros per month for unlimited flashcards, or it's going to be whatever per event, and so forth, right? You just tell them the prices. If you know the client well, you can calculate out the price for them. Say, and I know that, so if you had to go for this, you would pay so and so. If you had this many impressions in this platform and 17 million products or whatever, you would pay this per year, and so on. And then you shut up. So you don't start to argue it. And that's really only half of your total cost now. Oh, so shut up. Just give them the price and then shut up. Then you listen. Because the next thing that's going to happen if you shut up is that the customer will try to figure out if that price is high or low by finding something else to compare it to. No price is high or low on its own. Prices are only anything when they're compared to something else, right? So if you charge 500 per month, your customers might say, oh, that is more than I can afford. They haven't said anything about whether it's worth it or not. That's not even on their radar. They can just say, I can't afford that. Or if you say, oh, that's 1,000 per session, they might say, oh, but my other physio only charges 800. So now you're comparing it to another service, right? So depending on what they're comparing it to, that essentially is your competition. Because that's the alternative that you're being compared to.